Welcome back to the $1 Million Journey, a series where I am tracking my portfolio growth with the goal of reaching $1 million. This is episode 2, where I will be discussing my portfolio growth and changes from the month of February 2026. The big news for the month is that I got all of my employer-sponsored accounts up and running. I had paychecks coming in and consistent contributions began. As a reminder, my portfolio consists of 5 accounts that I discussed in more detail in the last episode. If you have any questions about what these accounts are and the advantages of each, watch that. Throughout this series, I will be investing in a brokerage, Roth 401k, Roth IRA, health savings account, and health savings brokerage account. So to start this episode off, I want to talk a little bit about how I budget and allocate contributions in a way that works for me. I budget a little bit differently. I usually budget to see how much I can afford to invest, not how much I can afford to spend. I set my minimum investment goals up front and take that amount first. So before money from my paycheck even hits my bank account, I've taken out money from it and automatically wired it to my different investment accounts. Then, if I have money left over at the end of the month, that is just extra money I can invest. I've already achieved my goal. That's just a bonus. This gives me a lot of flexibility. It forces me to meet my goals, and it keeps things simple. I don't want to have to track every single purchase I make. And this way, I can gauge the amount of money I have left over at the end of the month to determine if I'm spending too much or if I did a good job on spending. I should also say that I'm also not really a big spender. So having a super strict budget doesn't really make sense for me. It just sounds stressful, and I don't really need those guide rails for me to rein in my spending. Now, let's get into the numbers for February. So our brokerage account started at about $5,500, ended about $5,565. So that was a $15 change. Roth 401k started at $0 and ended at about $1,345. So that was a change of $1,345 because that account started with no money at the end of January. My Roth IRA went down $96 from $6,526 to $6,429. HSA went up $22.73 from $0. These are the regular contributions that I was talking about. Money automatically comes out of my paycheck and is routed to my Roth 401k and my HSA. The targets I've set for my Roth 401k, these contributions have me approximately on track to max that out by the end of 2026. So I believe that's about $24,000 of individual contributions. Remember, there's an employer match there, so the final total contributions will be greater because they're adding on an additional 7% of my salary. So overall, our account started at $12,076 and ended at $13,362. So that's a total change of $1,286 for the month of February. I will note that due to my accounts still being set up, this only captured one Roth 401k contribution. So for the month of February, I only made one contribution to that account, and all months going forward here, now that everything's up and running, you'll see 2 contributions for that. So it will probably be a little bit more. Looking at our account growth, we have the change in each account in that first column that we just discussed. And this shows us what's coming from contributions and what's coming from investment gain. So with our brokerage account, that $14, all of that came from our investments appreciating. In the Roth 401k, 99% of that $1,345 came from our contribution, and the value of our investment increased by 13. In our Roth IRA, the $96 loss was all from my investments going down in value. I didn't take any money out of my Roth IRA. In the HSA, it's a pretty similar story. All of that $22.73 increase in value came from contribution. No contributions were made to my health savings brokerage account, but In order for me to take advantage of that, I need to have $1,000 in my HSA first as a minimum balance. Then I unlock that HSBA. Looking at the performance of each account, we have a total return and an investment return. As a reminder, total return factors in contributions. So if we make a massive contribution, our total return is going to be massive. But that's not reflecting a large investment return. Those contributions are inflating that number. In the brokerage, we see these return numbers being the same, 0.268%. And again, that's just because I didn't make any contributions, so those values will be the same. In the Roth 401k, we saw an almost 2% investment return, and that put us at a 20.5% savings rate. This savings rate is gross, so it's calculated pre-tax. In the Roth IRA, that was where we had the $96 loss. That was a decrease in value of about 1.5%. 0% savings rate for that because no contributions. I also want to point out that for the Roth 401k and HSA, those values are zero because technically the total return on that is infinity because we went from a value of 0 to whatever. So the return there is infinite. So I've just put those at 0 for now. And once there's some money in those accounts, those figures will make a little bit more sense. So our HSA, that's where our $22 went. Again, 0 total return, but really an infinity return and 0% investment return. And that represents a 0.35% savings rate. And nothing into the HSBA in February. So we saw a total return across our portfolio of 10.65%. We lost about 0.5% of the value of our assets, and we achieved a savings rate in February of 20.85%. This next chart shows our goal of $1 million and where all of our accounts were on the first of the month. The numbers we just looked at were taken on the last of the month. So you see on the first of the month, there were $0 in contributions to the Roth 401k. So just keep that in mind. This $12,076, that number should be familiar because that's where we ended in the January update. So this is showing that the progress we've made towards $1 million is pretty much split between the Roth IRA and brokerage 50-50. Now let's get into our investment breakdown for February 2026. And this was taken at the end of the month. We still have that large position in Triple Q and the large position in the Schwab money market account. We still are holding our position in GEV, representing 2% of our portfolio. But now we have 10% in FCNKX. And this is an actively managed mutual fund that is offered through my employer 401k. For that 401k, I basically have a list of 23 investments I can choose from. And for now, this is what I'm going with. It seems like it's been able to outperform the S&P the last 5 to 10 years, but you're paying for that because it's actively managed and has a higher expense ratio. Here's our portfolio over time graph. Now has another data point on it. But again, taken the first of each month. Please take note of that. So we're still hovering around that $12,000 mark. Here's that same graphic with our goal shown in there. So once we really start to get some momentum, hopefully we're going to see that graph become a little bit more exponential and less linear month over month as our investments start to compound. And I'm hoping these graphs will become really exciting in the future. This is a new graph that I've generated. This is showing where our growth is coming from. So in January, the value of our portfolio grew by $180. And in the yellow, you see all of that came from investment gain. Here, our accounts grew by $1,286. The red represents our total contributions. So we actually contributed more than that. We contributed $1,355, but that was offset by a $69 loss in investment value. Once that snowball effect really starts to take place, it's going to be exciting to see that yellow bar get bigger and bigger, and hopefully it will eventually overtake our total contributions for the month, which is that red bar. This is again another way to visualize the accelerating effect of portfolio growth. That's going to be all for the month of February. Stay tuned. I've got another update coming soon. And in these first couple months, everything is just getting more and more interesting as all the accounts are getting set up and regular contributions will begin. March was the first month where full contributions were made to the Roth 401k, HSA, and some of my other accounts. So keep an eye out for that. But for now, take care.